題目嘅，一個咧就係川普總統會白宮宣布 Apple 嗰600個billion 嘅投資喺美國，同埋當中之後仲會有啲咩投資？今日你大家可以睇到，哇呢啲 Nasdaq 嗰啲全部狂飆啦，開始有。今日會飆唔知會飆幾多日啦，真係嚇！今日先星期3，有可能升到星期5啊！咁啊會有少少興奮啦，希望大家咧就繼續去幫我去留言、點讚我嘅頻道啦。咁因為咧可能上幾次密得滯，咁同埋有做咗即係某啲嘅小動作啊，可能佢就懷疑我係啲 spam account 咯。咁咧就所以可能我以前都係咁啊，成日都久唔久都有啲嘢會踩邊界啊，踩邊球啊，國語叫做咁，有可能導致我而家咧突然之間咧由過萬嘅直播就去到得個幾丁友嘅直播。咁而家咧就轉一轉啲 format 啊，睇下可唔可以去即係佢個 system 啦，因為呢啲佢又唔係人管嘅，係啲 system 去處理嘅，所以就睇佢啲 system 咧可唔可以即係叫憐憫我咁我哋而家咧去睇下呢個白宮嗰個記招啦。
Thank you very much. You know this gentleman, one of the truly great legends of our time, my book. Before we begin, I'd like to say a few words about the shooting at Fort Stewart in Georgia. As you know, 5 people were seriously wounded and 2 very, very seriously hurt around 11 o'clock this morning. The shooter is now in custody, and the Army Criminal Investigation Division is on site to ensure that the perpetrator of this atrocity, which is exactly what it is, will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The entire nation is praying for the victims and their families, and hopefully they'll fully recover, and we can put this chapter behind, but we're not going to forget what happened. We're going to take very good care of this person that did this horrible person. This afternoon, we're pleased to welcome to the White House one of the great and most esteemed business leaders and geniuses and innovators anywhere in the world, Apple CEO Tim Cook. It's an amazing job. Thanks as well to Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent and Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick for being here, wherever you may be. Oh, there you are. Hello, fellas. I missed you. Today, Apple is announcing that it will invest $600 billion, that's with a B, in the United States over the next 4 years. That's $100 billion more than they were originally going to invest. And this is the largest investment Apple has ever made in America and anywhere else. And it's just an honor to have you. As you know, Apple's been an investor in other countries a little bit. I won't say which ones, but a couple. And they're coming home. $600 billion, that's the biggest there is. The company is also unveiling its ambitious new American manufacturing program, which will bring factories and assembly lines across our country all roaring to life. Areas that were not doing so well are doing very well. We have about $17 trillion coming into the United States, which is more than ever before. That's never even come close. There's never been anything like it. Even you, that's even a lot of money for you. But we have commitments of more than $17 trillion. That was as of a couple of weeks ago. These investments will directly create more than 20,000 brand new American jobs and many thousands more at the Apple suppliers like Corning, Broadcom, Texas Instruments, and Samsung, who all deal in that world. As part of this historic commitment, Apple will massively increase spending on its domestic supply chain for the iPhone and will build the largest and most sophisticated smart glass production line in the world in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, which is a great, actually, I did very well there. I like it because I see I did very well there. I did very well in Kentucky, but it's a great place. You're going to be very happy. I thought maybe while we're up, I'll interrupt my own speech by you might show them a little bit about the product that you're going to be doing in Kentucky, Tim.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I step over
Yes,
here?
please.
This box was made in the U.S., in California, and this glass comes off the Corning line. It's engraved for President Trump. It's a unique unit of one. It was designed by a U.S. Marine Corps corporal, a former one, that works at Apple now.
That's good. He's done well.
Designed it for you. And the base comes from Utah and is 24 karat gold. And it sits, I'll take the liberty of setting it up.
Wow.
Well, let's see. There we go. Congratulations,
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
President.
It's
Thank you so
fantastic.
much.
The great people of Kentucky. You're going to find it a great place to do business, too. It's fantastic. Isn't that nice? We're doing these things now in the United States instead of other countries, faraway countries. This is a significant step toward the ultimate goal of ensuring that iPhones sold in the United States of America also are made in America. With the mass infusion of capital it's announcing today, Apple will also build a 250,000 square foot server manufacturing facility in Houston and invest billions of dollars to construct data centers across the country from North Carolina to Iowa to Oregon. That's big stuff. Apple will also open state-of-the-art manufacturing economy. It's going to be a manufacturing academy in Detroit, and that's a great place to do. Well, you know, big things are happening in Michigan and Detroit. They're coming in because of what we've done with the, I call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill. I added one word, great. But we have probably the biggest, most comprehensive piece of legislation ever passed. It's going to mean unbelievable numbers of jobs and no jobs on, think of this, whether it's tips or overtime or Social Security, no tax. So no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. And there's just a small bit of it. For Apple and others businesses, we're talking about the deductions and all of the things. And actually for people, they go out and buy a car, first time it's ever been done. We talk about deductions for companies, but they're going to be able to deduct interest when they borrow money to buy a car, if it's made in America. It has to be made in America. So it is amazing. And one of the reasons I think I can say that Apple's coming here is the legislation we just passed with this kind of investment. Apple will also open other facilities, rare earth magnets from Texas, and build, oh, I love that you're doing this. I love that. I love that. And build a brand new rare earth recycling line in Mountain Pass, California. I know that area. That's where they have a lot of truly rare earth. That's fantastic. I love that. And Apple will help develop and manufacture semiconductors and semiconductor equipment in Texas, Utah, Arizona, and New York. For years, Americans have watched as many of our leading tech giants built their factories overseas and exported American jobs abroad. But under the Trump administration, we're doing everything possible to make this the best place on earth to build a factory or grow businesses. I'm allowing them to build electric producing plants with their factory, because otherwise they'd have to hook into the grid. And I think it's one of the biggest things we've done, where you can build, Tim, your own electricity. You become your own electric manufacturer, and that goes along with the plant. So you become a utility. So congratulations, now you're in the utility. I hope they don't value your company based on utility, but that's okay. You're going to be making your own electricity, and as you probably know, for much of this and many of the things that we're doing, especially the AI, they would need actually double the electricity that the country now produces for everything. So it's massive electric, and they're going to be able to make their own, and they're getting very fast approvals. Lee Zeldin is doing a fantastic job, including with a 100% expensing on the one big, beautiful bill. In return, we're asking our businesses to invest in America, and they're coming in at levels that we've never seen before. So I don't know when it shows up, but there are a lot of factories and a lot of plants that are either under construction or soon will be starting construction. So can't tell you exactly when, but I want to be around in about a year from now and 2 years from now, because we're going to see an explosion, I think, like this country has never seen before. Never. Today's announcement is one of the largest commitments in what has become among the greatest investment booms in our nation's history, and we've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. You know, I told you the story that, and Tim, I'll tell you, but I went to the Middle East, and I was with Qatar, I was with UAE, and the King of Saudi Arabia, all great leaders. And then I went to NATO and saw many great leaders, and we just finished that about 4 weeks ago. Everyone, virtually everyone, said, in effect, that we were a dead country 1 year ago. America, this was a dead country. We were dying, we were dead. And now you've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. This would have never happened except for certain people. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. NVIDIA is investing $500 billion to go along with Apple, $600 billion. $600 billion. Micron, great company, is investing $200 billion. IBM is investing more than $150 billion. SoftBank is investing substantially more than $100 billion. TSMC is investing $200 billion. Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion. Merck, Stellantis, and General Motors are putting many, many billions in. They haven't determined the final number. And many other countries are investing tens of billions of dollars, and I'm not going to give you the whole list because the list is too long to read. But it's hundreds of billions and even trillions. I mean, it's trillions of dollars that's being invested right now. Last week, it was announced that our economy grew at 3% in the second quarter, and consumer confidence is surging. Blue-collar wages are rising rapidly. Costs are way down. You know, I listen to these horrendous frauds on CNN and various other fake news networks, and they say costs are up. No, costs are down. Gasoline is down. It's going to soon, I believe, be less than $2 a gallon. It's around $2.40 right now, many places other than California where they tax you out of business, but and a couple of others. But gasoline is way down. The price of groceries are down. How about eggs? When I first came here, my first week, the press hit me very hard on eggs. Eggs had quadrupled or something. I said, I didn't know about it. Give me a chance. I've just been here for 4 days. Well, eggs are down. Everything's down. Price is down. The only thing that's up is stock prices. That's really up, and that's through the roof. The stock market has been hitting all-time records, all-time highs. Last week it was announced that our economy grew at levels that we haven't seen in a long time, but the real levels of growth are going to be judged in a year from now when you start seeing some of these incredible plants, because we have car plants opening. They're coming in from Canada, from Mexico, and from all over the world. And they're coming in because they like the way the election worked out, but they also like the fact that they don't want to pay tariffs. And the tariffs, I think, we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. I won't be so specific other than to say, because we don't even know what the final number is. We just made a deal, as you know, with the EU where they're paying hundreds of billions of dollars. Japan paying hundreds of billions of dollars, and numerous other countries paying hundreds of billions of dollars. And we're not even completed there. And as you know, they found $25 billion 3 weeks ago. They said, we have a surplus of $25 billion. And they said, where did this come from? I said, check the tariffs. And they checked. They said, you're right, that's where it came from. And we've really just started. This is just in its infancy. So we have a great country. We have a country that is going to be very rich. It's a country that we're very proud of, but it's going to be very rich. And it's companies like Apple, they're coming home. They're all coming home. And we want them to come home. They have to come home. We're going to treat them really well. We're going to be putting a very large tariff on chips and semiconductors. But the good news for companies like Apple is if you're building in the United States or have committed to build, without question committed to build in the United States, there will be no charge. In other words, we're not going to be charging. So a lot of countries, a lot of companies are leaving various other places and they're coming to the United States. So in other words, we'll be putting a tariff on of approximately 100% on chips and semiconductors. But if you're building in the United States of America, there's no charge, even though you're building and you're not producing yet in terms of the big numbers of jobs and all of the things that you're building. If you're building, there will be no charge. So I just want everyone to know that. And I didn't even tell you that inside. We discussed the concept, but I didn't. So it's a big factor. So 100% tariff on all chips and semiconductors coming into the United States. But if you've made a commitment to build, or if you're in the process of building, as many are, there is no tariff. Okay? If for some reason you say you're building and you don't build, then we go back and we add it up, it accumulates, and we charge you at a later date. You have to pay, and that's a guarantee. So that's a big statement, and I think the chip companies are all coming back home. They're all coming back. You know, we started with Intel, and gradually Intel was just taken over the coals. They were taken to the cleaners, frankly, and moved to other places, in particular Taiwan. But I think a lot of those companies are coming back, and they're coming back very rapidly. So that's a big statement. 100% tariff. I want to thank you very much. Tim, would you like to say a few words about your company, please?
It's okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. President, thank you very much for having me here today. You've been a great advocate for American innovation and manufacturing, and I'm grateful for your leadership and your commitment. That's a commitment we share at Apple because American innovation is central to everything we do. Our products are designed here, we're hiring and growing here, and we support 450,000 jobs with thousands of suppliers and partners in all 50 states. Earlier this year, we made our largest ever spending commitment, $500 billion to the U.S. over the next 4 years. That's already yielding results. Earlier this year, we broke ground on a new factory in Houston to make advanced AI servers. And just last month, the very first test unit rolled off that factory's line, proudly made in America. President Trump shared some kind words about that work, but he also asked us to think about what more we could commit to doing. And Mr. President, we took that challenge very seriously. I'm glad to be here with you today, and I'm very proud to say that today we're committing an additional $100 billion to the United States, bringing our total U.S. investment to $600 billion over the next 4 years. As a part of this, we're launching Apple's American Manufacturing Program. It will spur even more production right here in America for critical components used in Apple products all around the world. And we're thrilled to announce that we've already signed new agreements with 10 companies across America to do just that. First, with today's announcements, I'm proud to say that Apple is leading the creation of an end-to-end silicon supply chain right here in America, from design to equipment to wafer production to fabrication to packaging. In Texas, we're working with manufacturers like Texas Instruments, Global Wafers America, and Applied Materials. We're working with Amcor in Arizona and Broadcom and Global Foundries in New York. Thanks to President Trump's vision, and with his help in his first term, we also led the way to bring TSMC to Arizona by committing to be their first and largest customer. Today, they're producing tens of millions of chips for Apple using one of the most advanced process technologies in America today. We're going to keep working with our suppliers to move even more of this incredibly advanced work to America. And this year alone, American manufacturers are on track to make 19 billion chips for Apple in 24 factories across 12 different states. Second, We're committed to buying American-made advanced rare earth magnets developed by MP Materials, which will become part of Apple's devices shipped around the world. MP is the only fully integrated rare earth producer in the United States, and with this partnership, they'll be significantly expanding their flagship facility in Fort Worth, Texas. We're also thrilled to work together on a cutting-edge rare earth recycling line in Mountain Pass, California. And third, in Kentucky, we've worked with our partners at Corning to build the world's largest and most advanced smartphone glass production line. And I'm pleased to announce that very soon, this is for the first time ever, every single new iPhone and every single new Apple Watch sold anywhere in the world will contain cover glass made in Kentucky. In addition to the American manufacturing program, we're also significantly growing our investments in AI, including expanding data center capacity in North Carolina, in Nevada, in Iowa, in Arizona, and Oregon. So we're going to keep making investments right here in America. We're going to keep hiring in America. And we're going to keep building technologies at the heart of our products right here in America. Because we're a proud American company, and we believe deeply in the promise of this great nation. Thank you all, and thank you, President Trump, for putting American innovation and American jobs front and center. Thank you, sir.
Great honor.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. What a job he's done. What a job. Incredible. I want to thank you very much, and thank you, JD, for helping along. Good job. Really good job. Any questions, please?
Mr. President,
Yes.
you promised on the campaign trail to bring forth a manufacturing renaissance. You just mentioned $17 trillion in your first 7 months or so.
Right.
Can you talk about how an investment like this, all the other ones that you laid out, will positively impact the millions of Americans that trusted you with their vote?
Thank you very much. It changes our country. I mean, our country is a very different country than it was 6 months ago. And people like Tim are coming. We had Micron in yesterday. We had all of the big, great companies that you read about, you don't know about, but you read about. Many of them were making products outside of our country. Foolishly, we lost them. If we had the right person sitting in that seat, that would have never happened 20 and 30 years ago. When you look at the chip business, it would have never left our shores. We had 100% of chips originally, and then we slowly got taken down to nothing. We have the biggest chip companies, the both of them, but we have the biggest in the world coming in. They're going to Arizona and beyond. And we're going to have, in a short period of time, we'll be up to almost 50% of the chips from starting in nothing. And that's something. But we have the greatest companies in the world coming into our country, and that means jobs, and it means wealth, and wealth means security for our people. Okay? Brian?
Yes, sir. Congratulations on this investment, President Trump. And
Thank you.
What a great example of putting America first. What does the labor force look like to fill these jobs that you have? Do we have enough skilled American workers to fill these?
Well, we do have a lot of workers, and we have a lot of workers that hadn't been looking for work because they were disincentivized, frankly. And people like Tim have tremendous schools and training centers that they build along with a lot of their big plants where they train people on whether it's glass, like in Kentucky, or computers, or whatever they might be doing. It's a complex world, and they train people, and they do a great job. So it's a whole new workforce. Now, we have a lot of them in energy because, you know, they've always liked energy. As you know, coal has opened up big. We brought it back and brought it back in a very large way. You know, China's right now building 58 coal-fired plants, 58 big ones. And here we were saying we don't take coal. We have more coal than anybody else in the world. We have more oil and gas than anybody else in the world. But we have tremendous energy jobs, and the energy, as you know, we're booming with energy. And that's why the gasoline prices are down. The costs are down. I just hope when they watch these shows, I watch this, I won't use names because I just make them better known, that nobody knows who they are. But I watch this group of people on CNN and MSDNC too, the same thing, where they say, well, costs have gone up. Costs haven't gone up, they've gone down. I'm telling you, the thing that's gone up is stock prices. and success of our country. Our country is really, really doing well, successful. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, Mr. President, have Putin and Zelensky agreed to a summit yet? And where and when would that be?
Well, there's a very good prospect that they will. And we haven't determined where, but we had some very good talks with President Putin today. And there's a very good chance that we could be ending the round, ending the end of that road. That road was long and continues to be long, but there's a good chance that there will be a meeting very soon.
How close do you think you are to a deal?
Excuse me?
How close do you think you are to some kind of deal?
Well, I don't want to say. I've been disappointed before with this one. You know, we've solved 5 wars, plus add to that Iran, where we wiped out their nuclear capacity for weapons. They would have had a weapon within 2 months, maybe less, and that was totally obliterated. It turned out it was a total obliteration, and the pilots and the people that did that job are really, we have the greatest armed forces in the world, but that was really something. In fact, there's a model of the plane right there. So, you got to bring that up, Susie. We have to see that. Look at this. This was just given to me. You know, we ordered brand new B-2 bombers. This is a plane that over a period of 36 hours of constant flying. Look at this. So this is the brand new one they just ordered. Similar, but actually quite different. It's new and enhanced. It's an amazing machine. It went 36 hours. We had 52 tankers up in the air loading up our planes because this was surrounded by F-22s and F-35s, and it was flawless, Tim. Even you would say it was flawless. And every one of those bombs hit their target. And then we had Tomahawks shot in from a submarine 300 miles away, and they hit every single Tomahawk hit its target. It was amazing. And that was a big threat. That was a nuclear threat. And here's the new one that we just ordered, a large number of them. I'll put it up.
Mr. President, what was the breakthrough today? Did Vladimir Putin make some kind of concession that he hasn't been willing to make before?
I don't call it a breakthrough. I mean, we've been working on this a long time. There are thousands of young people dying, mostly soldiers, but also, you know, missiles being hit into Kiev and other places. But in terms of soldiers, I think Russia's lost over 20,000 since the beginning of the year. 20,000. And I guess the estimate for Ukraine is about 9,000. It's a terrible situation. We want to get it stopped. You know, we don't have American soldiers there, but I feel I have an obligation to get it stopped. This was not my war. This war would have never started, not even a chance. And it didn't start for 4 years. It went 4 years and didn't start. But this is Biden's war. This was on his watch. And, you know, it's funny. We had no land was taken from Trump. It was taken from Bush. It was taken from Biden. The whole thing they would take from Biden if it weren't for us. But it was and it was taken by Obama. Take a look at what was taken with all of the land that was taken. Nothing was taken by Russia from us. Not 1 ounce of land was taken. I'm here to get the thing over with. It would have never started if I were president, and we're here to get it stopped and get the death stopped. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, in the past you said you would know if Putin was tackling you along. What gives you any confidence that he is or isn't doing that this time around?
Can't answer the question yet. I'll tell you in a matter of weeks, maybe less. But we've made a lot of progress. And as you know, we put a 50% tariff on India on oil. They're the second largest. They're very close to China in terms of the purchase of oil from Russia. But so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But we've had very productive talks today. Yes, ma'am?
President Trump, on federalizing D.C., are you considering taking over the D.C. police? Is that an option on the table?
We're considering it, yeah, because the crime is ridiculous. I could show you a chart comparing D.C. to other locations, and you're not going to want to see what it looks like. It was just up on television, actually. They were showing it. Now, we want to have a great, safe capital, and we're going to have it. And that includes cleanliness and it includes other things. We have a capital that's very unsafe. You know, we just almost lost a young man, beautiful, handsome guy that got the hell knocked out of him the night before last. and I'm going to call him now. We wanted to give him a little recovery time. We just put a call into him. They're calling back in a little while, but he went through a bad situation, to put it mildly, and there's too much of it. We're gonna do something about it. So whether you call it federalized or what, and that also includes the graffiti that you see, the papers all over the place, the roads that are in bad shape, the medians that are falling down, the median in between roads that's falling down. We're going to beautify the city. We're going to make it beautiful. And what a shame. The rate of crime, the rate of muggings, killings, and everything else, we're not going to let it. And that includes bringing in the National Guard, maybe very quickly, too.
And do you want Congress to look at overturning the D.C. Home Rule Act?
We're going to look at that. In fact, the lawyers are already studying it. We have to run D.C. This has to be the best-run place in the country, not the worst-run place in the country. And it has so much potential. And we're going to take care of it. You're going to be safe. You're going to be safe walking down streets. You're not going to get mugged.
Mr. President, if you do reach a deal with Ukraine and Russia, would you drop the additional tariffs on India?
Well, we'll determine that later. But right now they're paying a 50% tariff. Okay. Yeah, please.
One for Mr. Cook as well. On the
Yeah,
iPhone,
please.
if I may.
Sure.
The president wants a made in the USA iPhone. What are the chances that you can actually make that happen?
Well, if you look at the bulk of it, we're doing a lot of the semiconductors here. We're doing the glass here. We're doing the Face ID module here. And so there's a ton of it. And we're doing these for products sold elsewhere in the world. And so there's a lot of content in there from the United States.
But what about the whole thing?
We're very proud of it.
Can you make the whole thing
is
here?
just the final assembly that you're focused on. And that will be elsewhere for a while.
He makes many of the components here, and we've been talking about it, and the whole thing is set up at other places, and it's been there for a long time. So in terms of the cost and all, but I think we may incentivize him enough that one day he'll be bringing that. But he brings most of the stuff. Look, he's not making this kind of an investment anywhere in the world, not even close. He's coming back. I mean, Apple's coming back to America. Thank you.
Mr. President, Indian officials
Let me go, please.
Indian officials have said that there are other countries that are buying Russian oil.
It's okay.
Like China, for instance,
It's
buys
okay.
more.
Yeah.
Why are you singling India out for these additional sanctions?
It's only been 8 hours. So let's see what happens over the next.
Sanctions
you're going to see a lot more.
So this is a taste of
You're going to see a lot more. You're
Mr.
going to see so much secondary sanctions. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, you were the driving force behind Operation Warp Speed, these mRNA vaccines that are the gold standard.
Right.
Now your health secretary is pulling back all the funding for research. He's saying that the risks outweigh the benefits, which puts him at odds with
Research
the
on
entire
what?
medical community and with you. What is going
Yeah.
on?
Research on what?
Into mRNA vaccines.
Well, we're going to look at that. We're talking about it, and they're doing a very good job. And, you know, that is a past. Operation Warp Speed was, whether you're Republican or Democrat, considered one of the most incredible things ever done in this country. The efficiency, the way it was done, the distribution, everything about it has been amazing. But, you know, that was now a long time ago. And we're on to other things. But we are speaking about it. We have meetings about it tomorrow at 12 o'clock, and we'll determine. We're looking for other answers to other problems, to other sick.
呢啲就係啲左媒記者喺入邊咧，嘗試喺度挑撥離間啦，佢嘅問題就係阿 Trump 你嗰陣時嗰個 Operation Warp Speed 就係好快咁將啲 vaccine 咁 develop 出嚟，就希望可以幫到啲人嘅。咁嗰陣時咧就唔好唔記得嗰陣時係 Dr. Fauci 喺度 in charge 嘅。咁同埋嗰陣時咧係 Dr. Fauci， 大家而家根本就知道 Dr. Fauci 係啲咩料啦。咁中間都係為咗利益嘅啫。佢就只係為咗利益啊 ，Dr. Fauci， 佢就想真係話就話係幫阿 Trump 整個 vaccine， 因為佢係好出名專整 vaccine 噶嘛，佢係出名嗰個邊個艾滋病 嗰啲 vaccine 噶嘛，咁之後就揾咗佢去做，一路都係做住嗰啲嘢啦。但係真真正正佢背後個動機係咪真係非政治，淨係真係想去將樣嘢做好，定係背後有政治 agenda， 即係聽啲民主黨同埋 deep state 後邊啲叫佢點做啊嗰啲咁嘅嘢嘅。嗰陣時我都一路咧就都有做直播嘅，一路就跟住，好似而家咁咯，即係一路都會跟住嗰個 vaccine 嘅發展，咁啊同埋亦都會嘗試揭發 Fauci 去就前言不對後語啊，佢自己係 in charge， 佢自己係嗰個科學家嚟噶嘛，咁但係咧佢好多嘢都以政治化行先，咁都好多而家已經有好多影片出嚟啊！呢個記者咧，佢特登會問呢個問題咧，其實就係想，喂，你會話你搞嗰啲嘢搞得掂但係而家咧，甘迺迪 Junior Robert Kennedy Junior 就話而家要去 pull out 喎。咁佢嗰陣時佢已經冇做總統啦嘛，阿 Trump。佢之後嗰個發展情況又係 Dr. Fauci 喺度 in charge， 又拜登佢啲 auto plan 背後嗰班人，佢哋只係喺嗰個利益着想嘛。所以點解嗰陣時一味要？如果係OK， 好簡單一樣嘢。如果當時係阿 Trump 仲係總統，阿 Trump 就唔會 mandate 啲人去打 vaccine， 呢樣一定㗎啦。同時佢亦都會逼要求可以咁講，要求你呢個科學家可能出更多唔同嘅 option 出嚟去研究當然咧，嗰陣時佢圍住嗰啲人咧都係想去死嘅。點解咧？而家就知道啦。而家因為奧巴馬記啫嘛，就知道晒全部咧都係奧巴馬喺度。或者 Clinton 佢哋全部動晒啲人喺阿 Trump 周圍嘅 Trump 1.0嗰陣時，係咪？2016年贏咗，但係都係綁手綁腳，跟住仲要一紮官司搞佢佢同埋咧仲要準備第二屆，即係連任嘅喎。同時又要做宣傳嘅喎，所以嗰陣時就根本導致整個 vaccine 呢啲所有問題，好似而家咁。其實做總統就唔係，多謝留言Hong Kong 加油我都係着住 Hong Kong 嘅衫，Hong Kong 加油。咁幫手幫我 share 出去啊！既然你喺度，因為咧我真係即係幾肯定佢YouTube shadow ban 咗我。如果唔係咧一路嚟講咧，都好多人入嚟睇，咁突然之間由萬變翻幾丁友啊！咁其實中間我哋就要記得翻Dr. Fauci 嗰個係做咗啲乜嘢咯我哋繼續落去再睇。今日之前咧，如果你係啱入嚟咧，就之前咧就係講緊蘋果咧就會將投資6000億喺美國咯。其實已經投資咗未咧？同埋阿 Trump 話咧，如果先係話投資，但係冇投資冇開廠嗰啲人咧，以後佢啲產品跟住就仍然賣緊啲產品喎，咁即係冇喺美國開廠啦。咁嘅話咧，佢一樣要俾翻啲關稅，要嘔翻出嚟 ，OK？ 所以咧話增設廠唔緊要，因為一開頭有個過渡期，你可能生產未能夠立即生產到產品出嚟，唔緊要。阿 Trump 都有嗰個過渡期俾你。跟住之後，如果一路你都係冇咧，阿 Trump 就會計翻入去。咁而家因為而家個團隊同阿 Trump 以前2016年個團隊係完全兩回事嚟㗎啦。今次我哋呢個團隊就係 一定係同你 Deep State 死過嘅啊，所以奧巴馬嗰陣時動啲人咧就全部冇噶啦啊！你想做奧巴馬叫你做嘅嘢，你都係 Deep State 要你做嘅嘢都冇嘅，都唔得噶啦，都一定死緊嘅啦。但係當然啦，係仍然會有一啲人喺入邊想係叫做左右大局嘅，咁就好似Elon Musk 咁啦。而家睇嚟睇下咧，都係 Elon Musk 都係，我都唔覺得佢係 Deep State 嘅，但係好多人都話佢係 Deep State 咯。但係真係唔知咁嗰啲咁，但係而家個形勢咧，仍然我哋有言論自由，不過啲言論自由咧就冇人聽到咧嗰種嘅言論自由咯。我無論就算喺 YouTube， 我以前一路喺 X 嘗試去 build X 嗰邊咧，都係冇 impression 㗎，幾丁有㗎咋咁唔知係咪因為自己樣衰啦 ？OK 咁我哋繼續睇。
Diseases, and I think we're doing really well. Yes, ma'am, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said many times that you want to stop wars in the Middle East. Now, Prime Minister Netanyahu is contemplating reoccupying Gaza entirely. Is he defying you, sir, or are you giving him a green light?
Well, we have stopped wars in the Middle East by stopping Iran from having a nuclear weapon, and they're they can say they're going to start all over again, but that's a very dangerous thing for them to do, because we'll be back. As soon as they start, we'll be back. And I think they understand that. They're just words. But no, we've stopped a lot of wars in the Middle East. If you think about what we did with Iran, Iran was the perpetrator of hate, a very evil place, and I think it's going to be a lot different in the coming years.
Mr. President,
呢個記者咧就問一個問題，就係關於加沙嗰邊嘅加沙嗰邊。咁而家咧納坦雅胡咧就仍然咧，佢係以色列嗰邊嘅總理，就一路咧去繼續轟你個加沙地帶，咁轟到，但係同時其實咧我哋咧就抌咗60個 million 咧嘅錢咧去等，即係食物嗰啲叫做人道嘅支援叫做，咁但係咧中間咧就俾哈馬斯截咗，但係俾哈馬斯截咗咧，但係有一班媒體啦，亦都係左媒啦，即係唔係即係你睇翻佢一路嘅報導咧，佢都係反 Trump 嘅，咁阿 Trump 做得啱嘅嘢，佢唔會去支持嘅，所以佢哋啲媒體佢哋啲報導咧，亦都係偏頗。你話阿 Trump 啱，但係嗰啲人可能先係報導啱咧，你就係話人哋係 fake news 咁樣嚇。但係呢個又講個信字啦，你又唔喺現場，我又唔喺現場，大家講個信字啦。你信 Trump 定係信嗰班人啊？你要根據知識你嗰個知識係咩咧？你要睇嗰個媒體本身一路做開嘅報導，一路報導開嘅嘢都係反 Trump 嘅阿 Trump 做得啱嘅嘢咧，佢就唔講，佢就可以有時仲可以扭曲嘅咁呢個以色列佢去炸加沙，要知道哈馬斯好多時就將啲平民放喺軍事基地度。用啲手段咧，我哋以前毛澤東用嗰啲，其實我哋就知嘅。如果你一班人咧，一班黃絲咧，所以有人叫佢哋黃絲狗而家因為你哋班唔去睇歷史因為你個知識係有歷史嘅背景喺度噶嘛，你要知道。哈馬斯佢哋係恐怖組織嚟嘅，係人肉炸彈嗰個組織嚟嘅，唔係善男信女嘅。而家同埋背後有一個 Soros 佢可能佢個仔仲激過佢老豆都唔出奇而家Alex Soros 老豆就叫 George Soros 嘛， 而家個 Alex Soros 可能仲激過佢老豆啊 ，Clinton 佢哋可以做咁多嘢，奧巴馬可以做咁多嘢，啲資金來源喺邊呢？ Clinton 做完總統之後，因為嗰個 impeachment， 即係嗰個即係我冇喺白宮搏嘢嗰個咧，其實喺即係又話含撚唔算啊咁嗰啲咧，即係阿 Clinton 嗰啲，即係但係嗰啲成個歷史喺後邊噶嘛。之後咧，阿 Clinton 係破咗產咁滯嘅，冇晒錢嘅。跟住之後就建立一個 Clinton Foundation。你哋呢啲自己上網查啦，大佬啊！你哋班左膠，你哋班撐民主黨嗰班人啊，真係要翻去睇下少少歷史啦，大佬。要做少少分析嚇。你三樣嘢，一個知識、經驗同邏輯。如果你唔夠知識，你有幾有邏輯都冇用。你有知識，你有經驗，但你冇邏輯，又係仆街啊！所以有一班成班黃絲，有班 PhD， 有班大學教授，點解佢哋可以出啲結論係咁九唔搭八呢？點樣九唔搭八呢？就有你當你見到有一種雙重標準出現啊！呢個就係叫九唔搭八啦。點樣去分析嗰啲人嘅結論啱定錯？你睇睇佢會唔會有雙重標準出現？呢個就係要經驗啊！呢個就係我哋一段時間需要觀察我哋。我觀察毓民由始至終都係一，始終如一啊！雖然佢係唔中意 Trump 嚇，佢對 Trump 冇好感，我亦都明白佢點解會對 Trump 冇好感。啲老一輩記者，老一輩記者做嘢方式就有個規矩叫做有個規矩，有個行規有啲潛規則。佢哋好多時就有呢啲咁嘅嘢㗎嘛，做記者有啲潛規則，但係 Trump 咪打破晒呢啲潛規則，啲 political correctness 全部所以對好似係毓民呢啲老記者嚟講，佢梗係會有少少唔中意啦。但係亦都唔導致佢嘅評論係錯噶嘛。以佢喺台灣所睇到嘅嘢、知識經驗佢啲邏輯絕對冇問題㗎啦。OK 只係喺佢收集情報，即係知識嗰方面即係我會 question 即係唔知佢識唔識睇 Telegram 啊？有 Telegram， 有啲 Telegram 嗰啲有好多 fake news 㗎嘛尤其是有一啲陰謀論講到呢啲拜登Clinton 希拉里全部已經死晒坐監，全部啲假人嚟咁樣，哇拗晒頭，有啲即係嗰啲陰謀論係去到嗰個 level 係去到難以置信嘅但係我哋唔係去到嗰個，我哋唔係嗰啲啊嘛有啲，所以睇 Telegram 就真係我而家都少睇咗啦因為有時真係亂得滯，有啲陰謀論得太過激有啲陰謀論係可以用常識去分析㗎嘛，就有啲去到用常識超乎常識嗰啲又唔使諗啦所以咧正路我哋都係，所以點解我一路我都會繼續聽毓民啊？我頭先應該今日毓民有一節都係講 Trump 嘅咁應該咧就或者我喺下邊 description 咧補翻條 link 落去或者喺 end screen 嗰度咧就俾大家去 click 入去睇嗰個分析咁總之咧，我哋就肯定係撐以色列㗎啦，冇得走雞，就唔一定係要話因為聖經嗰啲原因嘅 最大原因就係哈馬斯控制咗加沙地帶。開頭咧，阿侵伊朗懟冧咗啦嚇，等伊朗冇咗核武先。咁但係伊朗仲有錢啊嘛，因為嗰陣時拜登俾咗好多錢佢哋啊嘛。咁而家仲要好似而家冇得賣石油啦，所以咧就印度咧就走咗去不過印度都唔會同伊朗買石油嘅咁呢樣。但係而家印度就走去同俄羅斯買石油，咁阿侵就唔老禮，所以就加你關稅啊。咁啊，呢個關稅整個關稅個概念就係籌碼嚟嘅。咁我哋就用呢啲關稅籌碼去同另外一個國家去對抗。以前就係一路咧點樣同第二啲國家去對抗啊？軍隊啊嘛，我哋攞呢啲人命啊去同第二啲國家去對抗噶，一樣係要錢噶，一樣使好多錢噶。咁而家個關稅用關稅，如果嗰個廠家佢肯承擔翻少少關稅，中間一路落一路即係將嗰個關稅就散，即係一人分擔一啲咁樣，但係又唔使死人啊！呢個關稅戰其實就係世界大戰 ，OK？ 但係唔使死人嘅世界大戰，就係咁簡單啦嚇。咁大家係咪就喺度鬥冚咯？用呢樣嘢，用
the India penalties, do you have any similar plans to enact more tariffs on China as it relates to their purchases?
Could happen. Depends on how we do. Could happen.
Brian? Yes, I've got an entertainment-based question for you. A few weeks ago, Stephen Colbert announced that he was leaving his show. Howard Stern announced that he and Sirius XM Radio are parting ways. Do you think the hate Trump business model that's been in the entertainment business is going out of business because it's not popular with the American people?
Well, it hasn't worked, and it hasn't worked really for a long time, and I would say pretty much from the beginning. Colbert has no talent. I mean, I could take anybody here, I could go outside in the beautiful streets and pick up a couple of people that do just as well or better. They get higher ratings than he did. He's got no talent. Fallon has no talent. Kimmel has no talent. They're next. They're going to be going. I hear they're going to be going. I don't know, but I would imagine because they get, Colbert has better ratings than Kimmel or Fallon. You know that. Howard Stern, it's a name I haven't heard. I used to do a show, we used to have fun, but I haven't heard that name in a long time. What happened? He got terminated?
Yeah, they're going to separate ways because I think what they're offering salary-wise is real low than what he's getting.
You know when he went down?
Whenever you want.
You know when he went down? No, before. When he endorsed Hillary Clinton, he lost his audience. People said, give me a break. He went down when he endorsed Hillary Clinton.
Mr. President,
have you talked to Governor Paul?
Howard Stern 咧係一個非常出名嘅，亦都係嗰啲主播啦。佢自己有一個 channel 㗎，係 我哋嗰啲 satellite radio 啊。咁咧 satellite radio 咧其實仲有一個咧，我哋 Megyn Kelly 啦，我哋有個叫做 Megyn Kelly 啦。以前咧就係邊個 news 唔記得係邊個 news 㗎啦。咁出咗本書，我係我啲偶像嚟嘅女神啊女神啊偶像女神啊，咁咧佢都係喺嗰度，主要喺個收入來源都係喺嗰個radio 嗰度satellite radio。而家 satellite radio 咧可能都即係沒落㗎啦因為咧始終又係翻嚟 YouTube 都係因為越嚟越方便啦。翻嚟 YouTube 翻嚟其實太多啦 ，Rumble X 呢啲， 即係個個都已經走翻嚟呢啲媒體啊，就未必一定需要去到咧去睇去需要用到 satellite radio 嗰陣時咧，因為網絡嗰個仲係未係好發達啊嘛，就好需要satellite radio。有時開車啊，聽收音機啊，聽嗰啲，但係都係嗰個行業都冇落，所以咧就要開刀啦。梗係當然開刀第一個咧就係 Howard Stern 呢啲高薪冇成，即係賣唔到廣告啊，收唔到錢啊，樣樣都係嘅。呢個世界歸根究底乜嘢都係講錢㗎啦咁樣真係講心咩？傻啊，係咪先？樣樣都係錢啫嘛。咁你嗰陣時 Howard Stern 個名好行㗎嘛咁而家都已經我諗都70啦，已經係嘛？係咯，冇70都65嗰頭㗎啦。咁嘅年紀啦，咁你仲喺度，即係總之由長頭髮戴住黑超嗰啲，以前都做好多好古靈精怪嘅 show 嘅。咁佢我都冇睇過，阿 Trump 又話好耐冇睇過。佢以前阿 Trump 都有上過，因為佢以前係做 apprentice 啊嘛。阿 Trump 以前都係 entertainer 啊嘛 ，entertainer 咁entertainer 同 entertainer 之間都會互相就去訪問，譬如 apprentice 有啲咩特別嘢啊，咁佢咪上去做下宣傳啊咁樣啫嘛。咁嗰陣時都講緊10幾20年前啦，即係沒落㗎啦 Howard Stern。咁呢個人咧，嗰條記者問呢個問題有幾過癮嘅，係嘛？係咪全部hate Trump嗰啲都玩完咧？9成9㗎啦9成9都會走咗去沒落嗰方面㗎啦，因為開始發覺太過癲啦，嗰個太過煽情啊！你試下去睇下嗰啲左媒嗰啲咧，好多時有一段時間啦，你就算而家你上 X 你都會見到好多啲左膠癲㗎，喺度又喊又剩又尖叫嗰啲咧，你有幾可見到我哋 Mega 冇嗰班人做呢啲咁嘅嘢？有Mega 冇好多都喺度，咪好似我咁啦，中意講嘢咯，講啲咁嘅嘢咯。講啲咁嘅情況出嚟咯，即係公諸於世。但係有情，即係我自己都係聲嘶力竭嗰啲人啦，我都做唔到即係去鬧共產黨嗰陣時，就可能我就會聲嘶力竭。好似早幾日見到四川江西江叫四川西江嗰邊俾個14歲女仔俾人哋欺凌。俾一班同學欺凌之後，打到入廠嘅可以夠膽死14歲就打到入廠啊，陰公。跟住之後個父母走去求情，就希望可以同佢個女申冤，要跪喺度跟住好多市民就好不忿啦，係嘛？你個政府點可能唔幫？即係學校仲即係。最主要起因就係學校走出嚟話俾人知，喂唔好話俾人知呢幾個學生叫咩名咁樣發咗出去俾人哋見到唔知佢哋小紅書定微博定嗰啲咁嘅啫。總之中國入邊啲媒體，哇啲人見到梗係仲興啦，做咩即係唔準備處分呢幾個學生啊？有冇搞錯啊？而家呢個14歲女仔俾你打到入廠啊，大佬！跟住諗住唔使處分，點解呢？因為中共國嗰個制度就係咁啊嘛，恃強凌弱強嗰啲係點樣嚟嘅？點解強啊？就係靠關係跟住呢，就唔係靠本領嘅，靠關係邊個親戚，邊個親戚你唔可以搞我外甥女啊！咁樣嗰啲呢。全部都係親戚係嘛？講關係，所以咪令到呢個14歲嘅女呢個好陰功嘅，就係冇關係嘅人就成為受害者咯。打到都唔知佢之後好返會點啊！ 跟住仲有一樣嘢就係官方，中共國就係咁撲街，你官方都去冚呢樣嘢，唔俾人去講啊！你官方應該行出嚟主持公道啦嘛，大佬啊！你理得佢嗰個係邊個親戚啫？你做錯嘢錯就係要認啊嘛！你唔係做錯嘢，你而家係做衰嘢。呢幾個細路女第二時大個仲得了嘅？下個受害者會係邊個呢？你哋中共國你班領導人係唔係咁白痴呢？為咗真係為咗兩餐咯。你嗰兩餐都唔係大餐啦，大佬，你哋而家，所以其實咧都會繼續追究，繼續咧將嗰啲官員咧、啲屋企人，亦都要公諸於世嘅。呢啲邊個幫佢 cover up 嘅，都要公諸於世。咁嘅話咧，你唔好嚟美國，唔好俾我見到你 ，OK？ 你咪留翻喺大陸咯，咁巴閉嚇！你唔可以有啲咁嘅人喺呢個世界第二個地方。你已經喺嗰個地方，你喺嗰個地方就算啦 ，OK？ 你唔好出嚟第二度嚇。你俾機會你，即係唔俾機會自己，或者唔俾機會自己嘅下一代，唔係嘛？所以咧就真係唔得嚇，就翻嚟阿Trump呢度啦。嗰啲記者問啲問題，繼續。
Interviewing Fed candidates yet?
Yeah, we've started the interviewing process. Scott and I and Howard, a lot of people, JD, we have some great candidates. It's probably down to 3. He doesn't want the job. He said, do you like this job better?
Yes, sir.
I mean, he was a candidate, but I don't think he'll take it. I really don't think he'd take it, actually.
Are there any candidates from Wall Street, Mr. President?
Yeah, essentially we're all from Wall Street, aren't we? You know, when you get right down to it, the term.
而家亦都好風行一個話題嘅，就係邊個會繼續2028年之後邊個會做總統？2026都未搞掂啊！呢班記者咧，有時咧就攞嚟講，呢班記者亦都係即係壞腦啊！即或者係做記者係咪要咁嘅咧？揾嘢問啊，好似我哋啲做 YouTuber 即係要揾嘢講咁樣。你揾嘢問都揾啲有醒少少啊！都而家最緊張嘅就係2026年呢個選舉啊嘛！你咪揾啲問題係關於2026年呢個選舉，譬如德州啊，而家咁樣，跟住仲有啲咩？你有啲咩嘢候選人，你會準備去支持佢2026呢啲咁嘅問題啊嘛？邊個州？加州、Arizona 州Nevada 幾多州？50個州，你逐個講啊，逐個問都有排問啦。你睇下Trump，你嗰度有邊個候選人邊個州有咩候選人去揾阿Trump嚟 endorse， 阿Trump endorse 嘅話，我哋就有班咩嘅去支持佢噶啦咁而家有一班成班咧就係要撲到去搶到阿Trump嗰個嘅 attention而家係呢個今時今日美國呢個政治形勢就係咁噶啦。你而家全世界個政治形勢亦都係咁啊！你冇得走啊！呢個就係趨勢。浩浩蕩蕩 Trump mega， 浩浩蕩蕩，順之則昌，逆之則亡。孫中山先生㗎。孫中山先生講就係講民主，我哋而家將佢換咗嚟 mega， 浩浩蕩蕩，順之則昌，逆之則亡
Wall Street, yeah, please.
Yep, you made your tax cuts permanent. You mentioned that the tariffs are bringing in a ton of external revenue. You've opened up markets, the EU, Japan, South Korea, many others, to American goods like we've never seen before. How much growth can we expect in the economy now that this model of yours is sort of beginning to really take off?
Well, I think the growth is going to be unprecedented. I think we're going to have growth that's unbelievable. Now, remember, we're building and just starting to build a lot of these incredible plants. We talked about the electric facilities that we're building, the generating plants, electric generating plants are massive, and they're going to be great, and they're going to sell excess electricity into our grid. So we're going to be having much more electricity than we ever had, and those plants are going to be taken care of individually. I know Tim is building one in one of his big factories, but especially for AI because it needs so much electricity. So I appreciate the question very much. I think the growth is going to be unprecedented.
Mr. President, did you have a phone call with Andrew Cuomo? Did you speak to Andrew Cuomo?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
Mr. President, have you been briefed on what Ghislaine Maxwell told Todd Blanche?
No, I haven't.
So you don't know whether
I don't
came
know.
up in the
I know Todd is
conversation
a
or
very
not?
respected person all over the country, all over the world legally, so I don't know.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Will the new Fed governor be temporary?
We're probably going to go with a temp and then a permanent, I think.
Are the two
So the temp is going to be named, I'd say, over the next 2-3 days, and then we're going to go permanent.
Are the two Kevins the leading contenders for the permanent spot for the chair?
Well, the two Kevins? The two Kevins are absolutely, yeah. They're both very good.
Mr. President.
The two Kevins, very good.
Mr. President, is Vice President Vance hosting a gathering this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
Is he working on what?
Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
I saw it reported today, and it's completely fake news. We're not meeting to talk about the Epstein situation, and I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country, and that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit. Okay? Yeah, please.
A new Gallup poll says that Elon Musk is the most unpopular public figure in the country right now. I'm wondering, do you miss having him around the White House, or is that poll accurate?
I don't know if the poll's accurate. I think he's a good person. I think he had a bad moment, really bad moment, but he's a good person. I believe that.
President Trump, are you keeping that 10 to 12-day deadline?
China facing potential secondary sanctions for
Yeah.
Russian oil. Them having that tariff or sanction rather or not hinges on what going forward?
It may happen. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you yet, but we did it with India. We're doing it probably with a couple of others. One of them could be China, yes.
Are you keeping that 10 to 12-day deadline that you had given Russia after today's talks?
Yeah, we're pretty much getting close to it right now, but we're having very serious talks right now about getting out of Ukraine, getting it settled, getting it ended. Should have never started, would have never started. If I were president, it would have never started. I want to thank Tim Cook. He's a great, great man, a visionary, a businessman, just about every quality he can have other than athleticism. I don't know about that. I'm looking at him. I'm not 100% sure about you. You're a good athlete. I'll bet you're pretty good. I think he's good at everything, but I want to thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
即係主要咧，佢都認為Elon Musk 咧係有個即係 bad moment 啦，咁就係咁嘅原因啫。就佢都唔相信咧係Elon Musk 係想搞死美國嘅。咁亦都即係啊，所以而家都好難講。但係有一班人就好唔中意Elon Musk，覺得佢好多嘢好古怪咁樣。咁有時呢啲genius諗嘢係有啲古怪嘅，我都覺得啊。但係中間係咪真係佢係想有個人利益因素啊，定係只係即係第啲嘢咧就好難，即係唔清楚，真係唔知我哋。 我哋都唔想估啊，我就覺得冇需要咯，冇需要估咯。咁而家最緊要就係向前看咯。咁同埋大家可以即係留言咧，我好歡迎大家留言，即係打錯字都冇得改嘅呢度，知唔知啊？一上咗去就定局㗎啦。所以咧就你哋打咗上去咧，就可以等啲人可以睇到你嘅反應啊。我寫個譯字，因為我頭先諗住唔寫啦，唔用手寫，淨諗住講咧就譯字啫嘛，就俾咗雞翼個翼啊。咁啊 ，Trump 喺度而家佢成日都講 bullshit 啦，即係 bullshit 呢個字已經認為咧官方語言啊，所以有時啲嘢阿 Trump 有時真係佢嗰啲做法就去做領袖去做領袖。國家元首都話而家 mega 浩浩蕩蕩，順之則昌，逆之則亡，真係而家成個形勢就真係擺咗喺度啦嘛，個個都要黐住阿 Trump， 你望下我啦，你望下我哋呢個台灣總統，台灣中華民國準備就揾好多即係撥款。去lobbyist 即係會去華盛頓，美國華盛頓做 lobbyist， 即係遊説又用好多錢準備去做嗰樣嘢。我唔知，我就唔知係啱定係錯你遊説啲議員嗰啲冇用你一路你去遊説啲議員，你去遊説，好似而家陣間我會去show 一條片都成個幾鐘㗎，攤長啲時間，希望咧可以YouTube 咧大發慈悲唔好咧就將我個 channel 去shadow ban。就希望咧個個見到我個 video 之後咧，都撳下 like， 撳 like 係睇下可唔可以再示範一次。一撳喺個 screen 度，睇唔到。見唔見啦？你 double tap 個 screen 就得㗎啦 ，double tap 個 screen 就可以 like 㗎啦。咁我而家點解咧？點解用呢個手機版就直版出啦？就因為其實而家真係好多人都係用手機嘅，我都唔知有幾多，一係用手機，一係用呢啲平板電腦呢啲 tablet 呢啲所以我就咪變咗用呢個方式咯。但係都係要經過我都係要用電腦去出呢啲咁嘅片咯。咁而家唔知點解咧，突然之間 YouTube 嬲咗我啦，就覺得我係 spam 緊啦，因為我太勤力啦。嗰陣時我狂出出得密得滯，唔知係咪同埋我試過可能亦都有啲原因，就係我啲重複得太犀利，好多地方我都重複。啲人話：你唔會係因為呢啲片咁樣咯？啲人可能會諗，就唔會嘅。因為咧好多人都係咁做啦，好多人都會用呢啲片去播放，咁我見佢哋啲 watching 即係做 live 咁樣，又係咁樣播片啫嘛，咁樣佢哋都冇事嘅點解我有事嘅？係咪？係因為唔夠人嚟，即係啲人睇到，跟住過咗我就冇㗎啦，就玩完㗎啦。啲人睇到跟住撳個 like 先走都 OK 嘅，咁咪就咁咯。嗰陣時就亦都有一班左膠見到，哇！有條友好戴帽咁樣上晒，即係發晒癲咁嘅咧。可能而家突然之間就嗰啲人咧會撳 dislike 咁，或者去 去或者 disinterest 嗰啲咁嘅嘢咯，not interest 嗰啲咧撳咗，咁以後就我啲片又唔會喺嗰度出咯。咁最主要係我哋 Mega 好奇怪嘅，個個都喺度競爭緊嘅。我哋圍內其實係 Mega 同 Mega 之間咧，嗰啲班 YouTuber 咧都喺度兄弟爬山，各自努力㗎。咁就所以英文嗰邊咧都有一啲好嘅主播嘅，咁佢哋都有。但我咧就主要係想俾講廣東話嗰啲啦，咁嗰啲人咧可以知道正式個情況係點，同埋咧就可以喺2026年嗰陣出嚟幫手啊。未必好多人識佢㗎 ，Shawn Ryan。我哋中華民國副總統蕭美琴咧，就得到佢俾佢去做訪問啊！呢個係唯一美國嘅記者啦、主播啦、blogger 啊、influencer 啊、KOL 啊，你點樣叫到訪問我哋嘅副總？唔係我哋嘅副總，係訪問中華民國嘅副總統啊！呢個其實我睇完都真係好奇怪㗎，我都係仲未諗到，即係。都一段時間啦，都成個幾月㗎啦，但係我都未諗到內裏乾坤是什麼咁樣咯。咁有可能佢哋就想即係今日聽完鬱文，知道佢哋蔡英文啊、賴清德佢哋即係民進黨就想全力咁去拉翻個關係同阿川或者同 Mega 啊嗰啲或者因為佢哋。一路都黐住拜登你好早已經 New Green Deal 嗰陣時啦，係嘛？你嗰班全部做嗰啲嘢都係左膠做嘅，都係 Deep State 嗰啲人做嘅嘢嚟㗎。所以民進黨你都係 Deep State 嚟嘅你邊有可能一個小島要放棄核發電嘅？你一個小島，你喺度生產緊好多電腦嘢大佬，幾多科技嘢需要電力㗎，你就竟然放棄呢個民進黨搞出嚟㗎，係嘛？當然，國民黨都唔係好人 ，OK？ 但係你民進黨執緊政啊嘛，而家係。咁啲人點樣？你哋啲群眾冇理由你唔去鬧佢啊，去反映啊！你話由佢哋，即係由得佢哋嗰種宣傳係咁樣落嚟，就反而係話佢哋反共啊，即係因為反共好偉大咁樣嗰啲咁嘅嘢抗中保台即係有好多人物喺台灣入邊嘅好多人名咧，我都唔識嘅即係一路睇一路即係會同大家分析，所以我就喺台灣嗰邊咧就唔會跟得咁貼㗎啦，都會經一段時間，好似睇完呢個都有 share 話俾人知，即係我有 share 話俾人知，我都即係有呢樣嘢發生咯。其實好多人關注緊台灣政治嗰啲人咧都會知咯，咁有啲人就未必知，咁我今日咧就嘗試用佢呢條片再次聽下去講啲嘢，你哋會覺得點咧？覺得有咩問題咧？即係你哋有咩感覺啊？咁你哋可以喺留言嗰度話俾我知。仲有 Shawn Ryan 咧，而家係做緊咩啫喎？而家就係做緊podcast 主播呢啲 YouTuber、podcaster 佢以前係 CIA 入邊又係 Navy SEAL 高級嘅海豹隊美國海軍海豹隊跟住仲係 CIA 入邊啲人 所以我覺得我相信佢之前咧已經識蕭美琴，因為蕭美琴喺美國呢邊咧就做過嗰啲好似外交部咧，好似 ambassador 啲之類嗰啲咁嘅職位嘅，但係因為冇邦交咧，所以佢好似用第二啲名，我唔記得咗。但係所以可能 CIA 佢嗰陣時做 CIA 嗰陣時，可能就已經識咗蕭美琴啦。所以今次咧攞呢個訪問咧，亦都係順勢啦。佢又可以攞到 view 數啦，爭500,000 view 啊，有都少噶啦 500,000。佢訪問 Newsom 嗰個係1 million 㗎。你訪問台灣中華民國副總統，你得 500,000 都係少少即係弱咗少少，我覺得。即係始終可能真係唔係好多人知嘅，仲係即係多啲人應該要睇嗰條片入去，真係再睇下佢入邊啲內裏乾坤，尤其是你係關心台灣政治嘅人，咁其實可以好多知道準備佢同嗰個中華民國同美國嗰個關係會點樣發展，其實都有啲蛛絲馬跡俾大家睇到嘅。
Xiaobi Kim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and welcome to Taiwan.
It's an honor to be here. And I just want to say before we start, thank you so much for the hospitality. You have treated me and my team extremely well. We've learned so much in the couple of days that we've been here. And I just want to say that I have been following this situation for many years, and this has been my #1 interview that I've wanted to do. And it's an honor. So thank you for hosting us.
Yes, well, hospitality is an important part of our culture, and we're always eager to welcome friends and eager to foster opportunities for better understanding. So
Thank
I'm
you.
really glad that you've come out all this way to do this interview, and it really demonstrates a very strong interest and commitment to a partnership and friendship between our peoples.
Thank you. Not only is that serving for energy, but it's also could. Xiaobi Kim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and welcome to Taiwan.
It's an honor to be here. And I just want to say before we start, thank you so much for the hospitality. You have treated me and my team extremely well. We've learned so much in the couple of days that we've been here. And I just want to say that I have been following this situation for many years, and this has been my #1 interview that I've wanted to do. And it's an honor. So thank you for hosting us.
Yes, well, hospitality is an important part of our culture, and we're always eager to welcome friends and eager to foster opportunities for better understanding. So
Thank
I'm
you.
really glad that you've come out all this way to do this interview, and it really demonstrates a very strong interest and commitment to a partnership and friendship between our peoples.
Thank you. Well, I believe that this is the most delicate situation in the entire world right now. And I would just like to bring exposure and to be able to get your story out there for everybody to hear. And so before we start, everybody gets a gift.
Yes. Oh, yeah, gummy bears.
Gummy bears.
Thank you.
Made in the USA, Vigilance
Yes.
Elite, made in Michigan. So I hope you enjoy them.
Thank you. Lake Michigan. Great. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'll start off with an introduction here.
So do I give my present to you too?
Oh, we can wait.
Okay, we can wait on that. Yes, thank you.
Xiaobi Kim, Vice President of Taiwan, the 13th and current Vice President of the Republic of China, Taiwan. You have a Taiwanese father and an American mother, born in Japan. You grew up in Tainan, Taiwan, and later in New Jersey. Degrees from both Oberlin College and Columbia University, equipping you with a unique perspective on Taiwan's role in the world. Served as Taiwan's representative to the United States from 2020 to 2023, strengthening Taiwan-U.S. ties during a critical period of heightened tensions with China. A trailblazer who made history by attending President Joe Biden's 2021 inauguration, the first time a Taiwanese representative was officially invited since the U.S. severed formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan in 1979, stating, "Democracy is our common language and freedom is our common objective." A target of Chinese sanctions, blacklisted by Beijing in 2022 and 2023 for your alleged support of Taiwanese independence, reflecting your pivotal role in Taiwan's resistance to Chinese pressure. And once again, I just want to say that I do believe, and my entire team believe, this is the most delicate and fragile situation in the entire world. So it is an honor to be here. And I'd like to start with Taiwan makes world-renowned semiconductors, and it runs the entire modern world. And I would just like to get your perspective on how Taiwan was able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the technology sector, and specifically on the chips, it took us decades to build this particular capability. And it involves not only the chip-making fabs, which Taiwanese are also now investing in the United States to make them in the States, but an ecosystem of hundreds and thousands of small and medium-sized companies, from the designers to the chemical suppliers to the machine tools, the entire ecosystem that is within a compact geographic region of the island called Taiwan. And the logistics coordination, the integration of this ecosystem has functioned and grown in a way that is extremely efficient. So Taiwan has been able to produce not only the high-end, most advanced chips, but we have been able to do that in a cost-effective, efficient, and reliable way. And I want to emphasize the word reliability, because I think in technology, especially technology that empowers everything from AI to our phones, home electronics that involve privacy and confidence, trust and reliability are very important. And so I think Taiwan has managed to integrate that cost efficiency, a comprehensive ecosystem, as well as trust and reliability that comes with our cherished value of freedom together to make Taiwan a very critical part of the global technology supply chain. But we do have to give credit to a number of leaders in this industry, of course, for their foresight. For example, Dr. Morris Chang, who's now in his 90s, I have great admiration for him for his foresight and vision in understanding how to run a business. You know, he came from the United States. He was part of Texas Instruments, and he came with expertise from a very good American education, and really put into this industry along with many other leading Taiwanese scientists who were also educated and trained in the United States and built this industry here in Taiwan. And so we see this as not only a Taiwan ecosystem, but broadly speaking, a Taiwan USA ecosystem of advanced technology that serves to power human advances, that serves to protect our freedom, that serves to continue with global scientific discoveries. And this ecosystem is so important to the extent that the G7 and other countries have repeatedly emphasized that Taiwan plays a critical role in fostering global stability and prosperity.
I mean, Taiwan produces 60% of all chips in the world and 95% of all the high-end chips. I mean, can you elaborate a little bit on, just for the audience that doesn't understand the importance of how much of society is run off these chips? Can you dive into that just a little bit?
Well, chips power everything from your smartwatches on you to your phones to your cars, all the electronic equipment around you, microphones, And so, chips really power and connect the modern world. And Taiwan chips, especially the advanced chips that are now widely used in smartphones, are also critically important for making those global connections, enabling the internet, enabling AI, and we will continue to contribute in a way that helps to advance technology.
And a lot of defense tech as well.
Oh, for sure, yes. Mm-hmm.
How much trade goes through the strait?
There have been estimates of somewhere between 20 to 50% of maritime, the value of global maritime trade.
20 to 50%?
Yes. Well, the U.S. government officials have been talking about 50% of global maritime trade, and if we look at container value and other shipping records, it's at least 20% and beyond. And the Taiwan Strait, if you look at the world map, is right at the center of the Western Pacific, in a growing a region with a growing economic weight in the world, and not only in terms of manufacturing, production, but also in importing high-value energy and other goods from around the world. And so in terms of maritime trade, Taiwan also sits right at the center at a pivot of global how the global economic system and can truly function. And you look at the global map, there's some points, for example, the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, the Taiwan Strait, really key locations where if compromised, if the freedom of navigation is compromised, would have a dramatic impact on the global economy.
I have 2.5 trillion in trade running through the strait. And with so much geological turbulence, how are you maintaining or even deepening trade relations with key partners around the world?
We are indeed in a very complicated geopolitical environment, and we seek, to balance that concern and anxiety about geopolitics with a continuing confidence that supports good business and investments. And so, Taiwan, we're a relatively small island. We are heavily dependent on global trade as well as our connections with the rest of the world. And we plan on deepening that, diversifying that. Over 10 years ago, over a decade ago, Taiwan's economy was much more integrated with the Chinese economy. Over 80% of outbound investments went to China. But our government has called for diversification. That is, we cannot be vulnerable to putting all our eggs in one big basket. We need to consolidate partners with other like-minded democracies. And so those figures have been through very dramatic transformations, including more engagements with the Southeast Asian countries, significant investments in the United States, and now the United States has become one of our top investment destinations, especially in the area of high tech. A very big Taiwanese company, TSMC, which produces chips, has already made $165 billion commitment to investments in the United States. And that is the largest greenfield investment from a foreign country in American history. So that is a very meaningful contribution. Think about this. We're a small country, but we are making the largest single greenfield investment in American history. And that will contribute to technology resilience, to the diversification of supply chains. We do want to deepen those ties. Taiwanese have benefited from American innovation, research, design, development, and we also depend on the American market. So we do want to be well integrated with reliable and trusted partners from the economic perspective.
It's my understanding that there are only 11 countries plus the Vatican that verbally outright say that they stand with Taiwan. It's also my understanding that China has been sort of picking these off one by one by influx of money. How specifically are they doing that?
Well, it's an unfortunate situation that only 11 countries recognize Taiwan in a diplomatic context. And we lost Honduras a couple years ago. They made all kinds of claims, such as a huge Chinese market buying more goods from Honduras, but I think the Hondurans have discovered that instead of making more money off the Chinese market, the Chinese trade surplus over Honduras has only widened, and some of their export markets are running into some significant challenges. But I think the Chinese tend to use multiple tools of coercion, plus economic incentives or promises that they may or may not keep once countries switch their allegiance or diplomatic ties. So, we want to keep these partners standing with Taiwan. In the Americas, in Latin America, our sole partner is Paraguay. In Central America, it's Guatemala, Belize, and a few Caribbean islands who still recognize and stand with Taiwan. And we want to work with them on economic partnerships, on public health, on empowering small, medium-sized enterprises, on continuing growth. But we also count on the United States and others to also stand with our friends and our partners.
I mean, with the fact that Taiwan produces 95% of all of the high-end semiconductors, I don't understand why more countries don't verbally come out and say that they stand with Taiwan. I mean, the repercussions, if China were to invade and take those chip factories, would be detrimental to the entire world. And so what will it take to get more countries to verbally come out and say that they stand with Taiwan?
Well, besides those who have diplomatic ties with Taiwan, a larger number of countries, most of them democratic and freedom-loving countries, have come out to support Taiwan's meaningful participation in international organizations. They have also highlighted the importance of peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. The United States, for example, we don't have formal diplomatic ties. However, through the Taiwan Relations Act, the U.S. continues to help Taiwan fortify our ability to defend ourselves, including through the sale of defense articles and other initiatives supported by the National Defense Authorization Act. And other countries around the world, especially in our own neighborhood, the Japanese, the Filipinos, for example, are also facing a heightened degree of coercion from the People's Republic of China. China, through their activities in the South China Sea,
講到台灣關係法咧，我哋就用即係叫做走後門啊！即係喺嗰個外交嗰度咧，變咗要走後門。我覺得中華民國都係中華民國走到今時今日呢個地步咧，都係所以中國人好憎美國嘅有時，成日都話美國出賣中華民國。其實嗰陣時咧都係一班民主黨，其實一班Wino， 其實一班 CIA 喺入邊 Deep State 喺度搞好多呢啲好多嘢咧，都係為咗最終目的咧就係唔會理你嘅。一班 CIA Deep State 嗰班咧，佢最終目的咧，佢就係要為咗佢哋自己份工佢哋自己唔好冇工做咁樣啦，嗰啲咁嘅嘢啦之後可以出書成總之 總之都係利益啦。咁但係問題就係咧，你哋而家今時今日就已經走到今時今日呢個地步啦，係點樣去翻去咧？咁如果你黐住中共嘅話，一定冇運行㗎啦。佢頭先講到 Honduras 啦 ，Honduras 就我哋好多非法入境啊，都喺嗰度嚟啊。我話 Honduras 人啊 ，OK 佢哋根本咧，中共外交就走去周圍咧就去揾笨嘅，揼錢啊咁樣啦，話會俾呢啲俾，佢唔係俾啲平民嘅，佢係見到邊個國家有貪污咧，佢就去㗎啦。因為你一個國家貪污，佢就有機會，因為佢自己都係嗰啲國家嚟㗎嘛，咁佢變咗佢又咪搞掂咗你Honduras咯。咁而家仲有11個國家咧，仲係同中華民國建交嗰啲國家咧，就係好人嚟嘅。佢哋就唔中意啲唔民主嘅嘢，所以你賴清德，如果你做埋晒啲大罷免，做呢啲咁非民主嘅動作出嚟，你唔好以為人哋啲國家慢先得㗎。人哋第二啲國家係見到，哇你個中華民國竟然變成咁樣啊！都係唔好同你做 friend， 咁樣啊，好人之常情啊。咁你冇得怪人㗎喎。佢根本又唔中意中共，但係佢已經放棄咗佢唔同中共有邦交，佢寧願同你中華民國有邦交，就係因為佢支持民主嘅啫嘛。當然你都要有錢啦，支持民主當飯食咩？係咪先？中間都一定要有錢，佢國家一定要有錢，佢人民一定要有飯開，就唔好講到有啲咧，屌你老味，咪又話淨係為咗錢，即係唔可以咁樣諗入嗰啲11個國家。如果其餘嗰啲，好似嗰陣時我已經聽到有16個啫，而家剩翻11個，就係你哋嗰班人唔係淨係睇錢嘅，佢係寧願食少啲，但係唔可以唔食㗎嘛，大佬啊！佢唔食，佢啲仔女都要食啦。咁佢寧願食少啲嚟撐你呢個民主。但係如果你哋中華民國你個民進黨做啲嘢出嚟，做到好似共產黨咁，我做乜要去為咗你，我要食少啲嘢咧？呢個就係一個道理嚟嘅啫嘛，常識道理。你走去搞個大罷免出嚟，仲要一班無厘頭藝人又好，作家又好，教授又好，即係乜撚都好啦，戇撚鳩鳩嘅。總之就係走去撐呢個大罷免。第啲國家識民嗰班領導人，佢哋係即係唔係白痴嘅。總之你只有你個民主方向走成點，佢哋係知嘅。所以咧，你哋而家你哋嗰個中華民國要做翻一個真真正正嘅民主，咁俾嗰啲外交嗰班，起碼而家冇㗎啦，得翻11個咋。其他走後門就有咯。正式正規嘅你淨係只得11個，其他都要靠咩嗰啲美台關係啊，咩 relationship 嗰啲咁嘅，即係走後門啦嘅方式去建交，去做生意啦，咁講叫做咁希望你中華民國呢班台灣人醒醒定定啦。
Through military drills, much more intensified military presence in this region, are also posing potential threats to our other partners in this neighborhood. Now, the Chinese military presence has gone as far as Australia and close to New Zealand in the Tasman Sea. And, their intentions obviously do not stop with Taiwan. And so I think it's all the more important that there is a greater degree of understanding this, but also in working together to fortify our defenses. We in Taiwan believe in sustaining peace through strength. We are all peace-loving people.
你又想用 peace through string 但你冇 string 啊嘛個個都想 peace 㗎啦中共都想 peace 㗎，係咪？只係一班嗰啲小紅書入邊嗰啲咁嘅二打六啊，嗰班人咁啊，只係話冇統嘅啫嘛。或者呢個小學雞就係要武統啊嘛，和平統一啊嘛，佢哋 peace through unite， 和平統一你和統我哋有啊，我哋美國都有啲咁嘅組織啊，所以而家阿 Trump 喺度，趁阿 Trump 喺度2026，阿 Trump 而家冇時間去搞呢班㗎嘛。就係搞掂咗個2026年個選舉之後咧，就搞你哋班和統 ，OK？ 咁你 peace through string， 你哋個 string 係乜嘢咧？咁你唔係話下下要打嗰個 string 噶嘛？你本身你有個 string，peace through string， 你個 string 係乜嘢？你個強喺邊度？你就攞嗰個強嘅嘢嚟做籌碼你打就唔夠中共打㗎啦，呢個就要靠周圍咯，周邊咯，周邊啊美國啊就係啲國家嚟即係聯盟咁樣咯，嚟等你哋抗中咯，抗中護台咯，真正嘅 peace through string。咁你哋個 string 本來就係民主，就係你哋個 string 嚟嘅，全世界都欣賞你哋台灣嗰個民主。你又而家賴清德上去咧搞鑊粥出嚟。
We certainly do not want to see conflict. We will do everything we can to prevent a war or conflict from happening. But Taiwan alone will not be enough to deter the aggression. And we do need to work to further establish partnerships that will support the deterrence against a conflict.
Summer's here, and if you're anything like me, you didn't spend the winter just sitting around. You stayed sharp.
We have to do more to prevent that type of conflict from happening in our part of the world and on our island. And so we do need to invest more in our defenses. And it's not only in terms of spending the amounts, but it's about investing in the right areas. I think another lesson from the Ukraine experience is the asymmetry in that theater. And so we do need to invest in more smart technologies. Drones and unmanned systems are widely used in that theater. I watched part of your interview with Dina Mavrukas on Saronic, unmanned surface vessels, and we need to look at more robotics, unmanned systems on all fronts. We also need to be adopting artificial intelligence and integrating our sensors and data fusion. So we have a lot of work to do, and this is really a new era of self-defense. And I think a third thing that we have learned from the Ukrainians is the need for much more decentralized command control. and to support more small unit autonomy and decision making, and to be much more nimble and flexible. Our military has for decades been trained in a very traditional way, and we need to quickly adapt to new requirements. And so a lot of reforms are going on. Our president has, actually the former president started this process, but we are carrying it through. That is expanding our conscript training period. Every young man in Taiwan has to serve a mandatory 1-year military training requirement. And we need to make sure that that is not just 1 year from every young Taiwanese man's youth, but one meaningful year, quality training, adequate training. And I think that will also foster stronger capabilities and the will within our society and confidence in our society, in our resilience.
Was that recently implemented?
Yes, that was recently implemented.
How was the response from the Taiwanese people?
Well, politically, it was not easy because we started the implementation like right around our election time. And when you mandate every citizen extra duties, that is never an easy political decision. But it is something that we knew we had to do, given the geopolitical uncertainties and threats, in order to ensure that peace can prevail, that we can sustain peace through strengthening ourselves. We knew it was difficult but a necessary decision. And I think it's upon us to ensure that that extended training is meaningful, that they do get the quality training. And so part of our partnership with the United States as we acquire more modern systems, how to use those systems and how to operate in a rapidly changing environment, continuing these discussions is also very important.
Let's move to Taiwan-China relations. A week ago, we saw 70 Chinese ships move into the strait. And I believe it was yesterday, 2 carriers went farther out into the Pacific. And so what is the sentiment of the Taiwanese people when these kind of things happen?
Unfortunately, that has become a daily reality, something that is, part of our lives. That's something that we've been forced to live with, although completely undesirable. But I think over the years, it's something that is now not new to the Taiwanese people. In fact, when we were having our first ever presidential election in 1996, after 37 years of martial law and one-party dictatorship, we finally, for the first time, could vote and elect our own leader. And the Chinese responded to that with firing missiles and military drills. And so they've been doing this repeatedly over the years and unfortunately intensified recently. So, that is another reason why, again, we cannot take the status quo for granted, that we have to invest more in our defense. We have to do more to make our society resilient. And part of that military presence, and not only the naval presence, but the air incursions into the surrounding air defense identification zone has also become a significant problem. And we see that as part of what we call the gray zone threats, that is between peace and war. There is a gray zone where they are using many different types of hybrid tools to threaten and coerce our society into submission. And, the military measures are part of that, but there are also many other steps they are taking, such as cognitive warfare through disinformation, political intervention in our society. They are also, using economic trade tools as another leverage for coercing members of our business community and other foreign countries, threatening them from having ties or relations with Taiwan by using that economic leverage. And so they are doing a lot. And in response, we've talked a lot about Taiwan's own military investments and our preparedness, but I also want to raise another very important initiative of our president, and that is a whole of society defense and resilience project. That is, we see our country's security as not only in military terms, but in societal resilience terms. That is, we need communications resilience because our undersea cables have been damaged and cut by Chinese vessels recently, and to ensure that we can continue to communicate with the rest of the world, our data, our comms, so communications resilience, cybersecurity. Our society is one of the most attacked societies in the world in terms of cyberspace. Defending our critical infrastructure, our power, our energy, our transportation lines, the security of our financial system, and also thinking about stockpiling as an island. We need to think about stockpiling critical, food security items, medical supplies, and of course, energy resilience is a continuing challenge for us that we are working on. So we have many lines of efforts going on at the same time to further magnify our strength, our resilience in coping with all of these daily challenges, including the presence of Chinese naval assets around Taiwan. But let me also, again, raise that it's not only around Taiwan. They are all over the South China Sea. They're to the north around Japan. There have also been air incursions into Japanese airspace. There have been, maritime incursions, and this is a challenge that many of us face, how to ensure the freedom of navigation, because that is foundational to global trade. It's foundational to keeping global prosperity and supply chains flowing.
I'd like to, if it's okay with you, I'd like to dive into each one of those sectors. And let's start with, you had mentioned innovating defense tech, and you had brought up Saronic. It's not my opinion, warfare is changing at an extremely rapid pace with technological advancements. And we have companies like Palantir, Anduril, Saronic. There's a lot of new generation defense tech companies that are extremely innovative. And I'm just curious, have you spoken to any of those companies, those U.S.-based defense tech companies that are true innovators?
Yes. Well, a few years ago when I was posted to represent Taiwan in Washington, D.C., I had some opportunities to engage with the U.S. defense tech community. And in fact, I've been involved in conversations on bridging the hill and the valley. That is Silicon Valley and Capitol Hill, but I think broadly speaking, the defense community and new tech. And I think a lot of the discrepancies or gaps that Americans are trying to bridge are also challenges for us. That is, historically, our defense establishment has their way of doing things and their way of the pace at which acquisitions are made or decisions are made, but that pace doesn't meet the urgent requirements of fortifying our defenses. For example, we have made requests for some foreign military sales from the United States, which your government has also approved, but it is taking forever to deliver those articles of defense, and supply chain issues, production issues, regulatory issues. All of these are challenges that need to be overcome. And in the meantime, there are some new innovations. Some of them are commercially based. Some of them are dual use. Some of them could expedite this process. Some of them can dive into the manufacturing process to make significant reforms, to modularize some of our acquisitions. And so I think we take this seriously, and we are also looking at ways to not only partner with American tech, but also build and fortify indigenous capabilities here. We again, learning from theaters elsewhere, having an indigenous capability to innovate and build what is needed in our society is also very important. But we also need to bridge that gap between, traditional defense apparatus as well as all of the capabilities and innovations of our own private sector.
I would like to talk about the artificial islands that China continues to construct off its shores. And can you talk a little bit about those islands? It seems like they're trying to push the borders out farther and farther.
Yes, well, over a decade ago, China claimed that, they were only providing bases for resupplying fishing boats and for completely humanitarian purposes. But we see that now they are not only building artificial islands, but they are also militarizing them. And that is generating tremendous anxiety, I think, in our own neighborhood among other Southeast Asian countries. And I think that certainly demonstrates my point that their expansionist intentions are not limited to Taiwan. They have broader global ambitions in changing the rules-based order or the rules as we know it. And some of those rules involve the freedom of navigation. And freedom of navigation, again, is foundational to global trade, especially maritime trade. And so this is quite an alarming evolution. And,
呢個咧，其實咧喺奧巴馬年代嗰陣時咧就已經開始㗎啦。嗰陣時咧仲係所以你哋啲環保撚啊，啲環保撚係虛偽係假嘅。嗰陣時，共產黨要喺嗰度起個島，嗰個本來係珊瑚島，跟住咧竟然冇人去嘈㗎，成班環保人啊，全部冇人走去廢。啲環保人淨係識恰美國嘅啫嘛，恰西方啊嘛，點解啊？因為佢哋根本唔係為環保啊嘛，佢哋係為錢，共產黨俾錢佢哋你哋去講環保嘢，共產黨係最唔環保啊，污染係最嚴重噶啦，但喺入邊冇人夠膽講，所以仲有一班人，你係黃絲嘅話，你更加真係食屎啦佢，真係食屎黃絲，成個呢啲咁嘅嘢你唔睇，點可能仲撐民主黨？環保啊，屌你老味啊，真係你睇到佢當佢個趨勢係走去極端嗰陣時啊，你就知道係黐撚線，知道係有問題。你規規矩矩、中中挺挺咁，即係將啲垃圾唔好亂咁掉啊，咁即係總之喺某個程度嘅啫，唔係去到咧好超理性嘅。好多呢啲咁嘅黐線人嘅，真係戇撚鳩鳩咁跟大隊所以而家好多美國人都唔再去理環保嗰啲嘢咯因為知道俾佢呃。喺嗰陣時奧巴馬我先知啦，即係奧巴馬做咗好多呢啲咁嘅嘢，媒體係完全冇報嘅，同埋做啲嘢出嚟就可以話我走咗話啲雙重標準啊嘛。你話講環保，咦？佢唔嗰個大陸走去整呢個成個珊瑚島， 將佢變成軍事基地。佢梗係同你講話唔係軍事基地啦，係唔係軍事基地都好，嗰個都係屬於公海噶嘛。而家唔係啦，而家變咗唔係公海啦，而家變咗係佢哋嘅地方啊。所以幾咁撲街奧巴馬啊，奧巴馬跟住就拜登啦。嗰陣時係拜登處理呢啲嘢㗎，又係揾錢啊嘛，佢哋又係共產黨派錢俾佢哋咯，又係啲貪污。我哋而家唔貪污啦，所以佢哋要整死阿倉啦，成班人想整死阿倉，因為斷咗佢哋米路啊嘛。所以你民主黨係壞人嚟嘅。
If China gets its way in terms of setting the rules for international behavior, advancing their system of governance to other parts of this world. Obviously we have a very different idea of how the world should be run. We have a very different idea of how individual freedoms, as well as the role of the state. And this is an ongoing balance that we have to ensure to protect our freedoms.
What kind of militaristic capabilities have you seen on those islands?
Well, they are projecting their naval capabilities certainly beyond the immediate coastal area of China. And it's not only on those artificial islands they are building, but they are projecting their military capabilities even to the Middle East, the Red Sea, Djibouti. They're building bases elsewhere around the world, and I think those also have some strategic consequences. The projection of their power, I think in the South China Sea specifically, has to do with their establishing or denying access to others in whether they are Taiwan contingencies or other security contingencies in this region. And those deployments, such posturing, goes way beyond the immediate vicinity of Taiwan.
Yeah, I mean, we see them buying farmland in the U.S., settling all kinds of different areas in Africa with the Belt and Road Initiative, and buying land next to our military bases, and it's taken a long time for the U.S. to wake up to that. But let's talk about cognitive warfare and disinformation. We spent some time at a nonprofit organization that combats disinformation and cognitive warfare, and so I wanted to ask you, how are they doing that?
Well, spreading disinformation is not unique to Taiwan. It's a global issue, but the Chinese Communist Party is extremely aggressive at doing that, providing narratives and different stories and kind of amplifying their government propaganda and trying to internalize that in our society. And some main themes of their current wave of disinformation are aimed at discrediting the institution of Taiwan's democratic government. They are trying to sow divisions in our society, to sow doubts in our society about the strength of our own democracy. So the themes involve, I think, three main points. They are targeting our partnership with the United States. All of the Chinese propaganda that we are seeing right now is saying the U.S. is not reliable, the United States can't be trusted, that this is a very weak partnership, that America is arming Taiwan, not for the purpose of defending Taiwan, but to make Taiwan cannon fodder for the global competition with China. I mean, that is the theme of Chinese propaganda on the U.S. side. The second part involves doubting our own military and our capabilities, and really, putting us down and promoting Chinese technologies and their military capabilities. The third theme around their propaganda involves attacking this government. They have refused to dialogue diplomatically, but dialogue in a civil way with the democratically elected government of Taiwan, and instead chosen to sow disinformation, really attempting to not only discredit, but to attack the legitimacy of this government. And so around those three themes, they have multiple tools in spreading and to try to get their message around in our society. And to counter that, of course, we have many civic organizations. The government isn't always the most trusted institution, but fortunately we have a very robust civil society and concerned citizens who are also shouldering responsibilities in countering such disinformation through media literacy. There are a lot of media literacy campaigns. And as far as our government is concerned, we also have a rapid response requirement. That is, whenever there is disinformation related to the government or our services, we have to demand a very quick response some of that involves even, supply chains in our country, the prices of availability of eggs or vaccines or other issues. And, we just need to set the record straight. And so,
好啦，咁就過咗2個鐘頭啦，呢度都仲係講咗，仲有成半個鐘頭先完。咁咧，但係咧之後咧好多都係其實我哋知道嘅嘢嚟㗎啦。但係佢呢個節目咧就好明顯，亦都係一個宣傳工具咯。就請一個Shawn Ryan 過嚟去做呢個宣傳，有幫助嘅，因為好多人都有睇法輪功 Epoch Time 嗰啲嘅新聞㗎啦，但係其實都係未足夠，即係仲有一班人對 Epoch Time 呢啲大紀元呢啲咧都會有懷疑，同埋網絡上面仍然可能都仲係即係都有啲即係唔同群眾咯。佢做呢個就可以做多一個宣傳方式俾海外嘅人知道，同埋我覺得 Epoch Time 嗰種係有少少反共啦，齋反共啦咁佢呢個蕭美琴咧就有嗰種叫做真係保護台灣嗰種，即係make Taiwan great again 嗰種嘅角度去表達咯。咁一種 defense 嗰種嘅形式咯佢都係 defense， 佢就好少，佢又冇乜點講佢即係好似我頭先所講啦，咩你拜登嗰陣時或者點樣去保護呢個讓中共去建立成呢個島或者即係好多第二啲嘢啦，佢唔會講呢啲啦。咁佢主要都係我要保護台灣嗰種角度。咁我覺得係應該俾大家亦都去極得參考，同埋咧我轉咗個下邊個呢個巴啦，就轉咗去虛擬貨幣比特幣Dogecoin 呢啲。咁想同大家介紹一下嘅，咁我想咗好耐㗎啦。 喺下邊 description 度咧就有條 link 嘅，有條 link， 我唔記得攞。下邊 description 嗰度有條 link， 咁我而家咧就喺度開翻嗰版嘢出嚟先，就未。稍等啊，就開翻嗰個呢度出嚟俾大家睇，俾大家睇到咧啊，唔得嘅，哎呀，整唔到。不過唔緊要啦，睇下先。點解突然之間開唔到添？奇怪啦。咁下次先再同大家介紹啦，唯有嚇。下次再同大家介紹下，可能得嘅喎，睇下先。算啦，下次先同大家介紹啦。OK，今日咧就到此為止啦。仍然真係非常之少嘅流量，不過都要奮鬥啊！希望 YouTube 可唔可以幫我咧解咗個 shadow ban 佢。俾我啲流量可以自然咁出翻去咯，多謝大家收睇，睇下仲有咩漏咗先冇啦，講下埋呢個啦，還都係啦，呢個就係我哋點解咧唔可以令中共國成為主流，佢哋其實一路咧都係地下組織共產黨一個地下組織就唔應該做地面組織嘅。做咗地面組織咧，就會搞成好多啲咁嘅慘劇嘅發生。咁琴日咧就已經有條片咧就出咗2次，都出唔到，好少人睇啊，出唔到去YouTube， 即係我哋係要靠 system 嘅嘛。呢個世界乜都係靠 system 㗎啦。個 system 係幫你就幫你，個 system 唔係幫你，你唔順到個 system 去咧，你就係難行嘅條路。唯有等 YouTube 可唔可以幫我順咗套 system 去咯。其實都要多謝佢嘅。如果唔係嗰陣時 YouTube 嗰個 system 順，即係俾我捉到路啦，就都唔會有957個 subscriber 出咗嚟啦。咁而家但係957個 subscriber 係唔夠噶嘛。可能我又心急啦，就變咗出啲片咧，就令到佢 trigger 咗佢嗰個即係嗰啲 spam alert 啊。即係佢一覺得你好似係做緊啲 spam 啊嗰啲咁嘅做動作咧，咁佢就會有啲咁嘅情況出現咯。希望大家繼續幫手啦，就唯有等大家暫時嚟講都要大家幫手去分享出去，俾啲人去撳 like subscribe， 咁就最好睇啦。因為個 watching hour 嗰度咧仲未夠嘅，希望就我哋下次再見。